Hello, today we're going to talk about one of the most effective and deadly methods of persuasion and influence. It's called labeling. And there could be good uses of this, but today we're going to talk about the evil ones, truly evils, because the first step in killing your enemy is labeling them. So let me explain that. Adolf Hitler and Joseph Stalin, arguably the most successful social engineers of all time. Successful as in the sick use of that word. So, how did they use labeling? Stalin hated the farmers. He called them kulaks. And before I get into Stalin's use of labeling, let's go to Hitler first. Hitler had the Jews, of course, and he hated them. He called them dirty, filthy, unpure, Untermenschen, which means subhuman. So this is interesting because his label was just the people themselves, the Jews. And he said they were subhumans. Now, why is the label so important? Because in this case, he actually gave them a physical label. They had to put this on their clothing. So this is remarkable and sick at the same time. Here you see a man with the yellow Star of David with Jude, Jew in German, sewn on his jacket. And even little kids had to wear these labels, physically wear these labels. Remarkable and sick at the same time. This kid has an armband. It wasn't always the yellow patch. So labels dehumanize your target. Yeah, they dehumanize the target so that it isn't it. A target isn't it, isn't it? A fly, you don't worry about killing a fly, you kill it. It's not a he or a she or a person, it's an it. This is a very powerful linguistic force. Very, very powerful. So the label is necessary to dehumanize the target so you can kill it and rape it, steal from it, and murder it. Because it's an it. It's not a person anymore. You dehumanize them. Now let's look at Stalin, because we know what Adolf Hitler did, okay? We know how terrible that was. Stalin, however, this was maybe more interesting. He didn't have a physical label on their clothing. He had the kulaks. This was his label for the farmers. Now, why did he hate the farmers? They were, according to him, evil capitalists and bourgeois. Basically, anyone with 2 cows was a kulak for him. So, he hated the farmers because the farmers were independent. They didn't need a utopia. If you're building a utopia and these guys don't need you, well, then that's kind of a problem, isn't it? Because remember, these are the biggest social engineers of all time. They're going to build utopia. They're going to make you happy if it kills you. And farmers are totally sovereign. They make their own food. They don't need no utopia or government. They don't even need the government. They are on their own. So this was a big problem for Stalin. Couldn't have these guys not being part of his community, right? Everybody has to be in the community. And if you're not, then, well, he kills you. So he had to come up with a label. And his label was kulaks. And that's exactly what he did. If you want to look up more, it's called Holodomor. There's a really good Wikipedia article about it, and it is really, really horrifying. What he did was, all of the farmers, almost all of them, were in the Ukraine. Ukraine is the breadbasket of Europe, even to this day. It's the breadbasket of Europe, and this is where most of the farming was going on, so this is where most of his enemies were concentrated. That made it easy for him to kill them, and that's what he did. He choked them to death. He literally choked them and starved the entire nation of Ukraine to death. So he went with soldiers and took their food. He went to all the farmers and said, "This is our food," and he took it with guns. Yeah, he went and took their food. The results were harrowing. The children died first. If you go to that Wikipedia article I talked about, you will see that the survivors said, if you did not resort to cannibalism, then you did not survive. So if the children died first, who were they eating? So here's a famous picture with human body parts and half of a child on a table. So cannibalism is how they survived, and very, very horrifying. Like I said, go to that Wikipedia article. Now, there's a sick Russian joke about this. I don't know if Stalin said this himself, but it fits. Hey, have you ever eaten Ukrainian food? No? Well, neither have they. Look at him laughing there. This guy was serious, and these people don't know what to think. And, well, very funny, huh? To the tune of 3 to 12 million people in 1 year, 1932 to 33. 1 year, at least 3 million. Okay, it is arguable who's worse, Adolf or Joseph Stalin. I don't think it matters when you're talking about multiple millions of murdered people. Leave that to the historians. So Hitler and Stalin, moving forward, they had a baby. Now, not in the flesh and blood sense of the word. Of course, it was a spiritual baby. His name was Saul Alinsky. Saul Alinsky, an American academic, an intellectual, a member of the elite intelligentsia. What he did was he codified Hitler and Stalin's techniques. In 1971, he published the book Rules for Radicals. There were 13 rules. Rule number 13 was pick the target, freeze it, personalize it, and polarize it. So, what's the first step in killing your enemy? You got to freeze them. And how do you freeze them? With the label. And he's telling you exactly how it has to be. It has to be personal, and it has to be polarizing. Otherwise, it doesn't work. So fast forward to 2016, and up pops Hillary Clinton. Well, you thought I was going to say Donald Trump, right? Well, there's a connection here. Of course there's a connection. Saul Alinsky was Hillary Clinton's mentor, and we know in the 2016 election, she had a tough job. She had to beat Donald Trump, a master influencer, master persuader with a huge following who was using Twitter much better than Hillary. So Hillary had to do something. She had a tough competitor. So learning from her mentor, Saul Alinsky, she gave birth to identity politics because she was going up against the orange man, Hitler, Donald Trump. So what to do? The old labels weren't working. They weren't strong enough. Redneck and flyover country, that just didn't work. I mean, everybody loves the rednecks, right? They love themselves and they're just positive. It just wasn't working. I mean, they dance with raccoons. They have hot tubs in the back of their pickup trucks, and they're just positive people. It wasn't working. They embraced it, and they made it something positive. And by the way, this is the best way to destroy a label, is to turn it into something good. That's easier said than done. That takes a whole lot of people in a mass movement to do. Not an easy thing to do. But that is one of the best things you could do to destroy a label, is just make it something good. So Hillary had to pull out something big. And so according to identity politics and rules for radicals, she came up with some new labels, of course. And the first one was deplorables. And then white nationalists. This one really stuck. I mean, doesn't that even sound evil? Isn't it polarizing and personal? Just like Rule 13 said. Now, there were others like nationalists and fascists and bigots, but they didn't really stick. So let's take a look at that. Let's go to Google Trends, and you will see, before September 2016, the election, deplorables did not exist. totally non-existent. Let's check out nationalist. That's an older word, but you can still see it spiking in 2016, right around the election in November 2016. That was Hillary's efforts, the polarizing identity politics there. White nationalist was very interesting. That's the one that really stuck, and you see it peaking even more, and virtually non-existent before 2016, the start of the identity politics labeling campaign against those evil white nationalists. So who is a white nationalist? Well, technically speaking, if you have a passport, then you belong to that nation state. You're a nationalist of that America, for example. Australian national, for example. But now if you have white skin, you're a white nationalist. So this is really insidious, creeping evil, right? What the F? Yeah, how can that, why is that just automatically bad according to Hillary? Well, what should you do when somebody's using, this is very effective against you. So listen to this response from Joan Rivers in this video conversation. Listen to her first words, exactly what you should do when somebody's being racist against you. Listen to this.
Since black offends Joan, I will make it...
Wait, no, just stop right now. Black does not offend me. How dare you? How dare you say that? Black offends me? You know nothing about me. You sat down here. How dare you?
The use of the term black offends you.
Well, the use of the term black offends me? Where the hell are you coming from? You have got such a chip on your shoulder. I don't give a damn if you are black, white,
I do.
black. I couldn't care less. It's what the person is. And don't know.
So, did you hear her first words? Stop right there. How dare you? How dare you? Now, in this case, if somebody calls you a white nationalist, you say, how dare you? Stop right there. That is a racist label that was intentionally made for one purpose, to hurt and destroy white people. Now, you don't even have to go that far. You just say, stop. How dare you? That is racist. That's it. That's it right there. Stop right there. That's racist. I can't speak with you anymore. That's racist. And if you don't stop, I'm leaving this conversation. And that's exactly what you should do. If somebody's calling you a racist, stop it right there and leave the conversation. But let's say there's somebody you want to keep talking to, somebody that's worth talking to. You got to ditch the label. You can explain to them what's going on and why it's so racist. So the tactic is this. This is what they're doing to you. Race, just take any race, maybe the person you're talking to. Now be careful though, you might get punched in the nose, okay? But explain to them, you take any race, you take any trait and you combine them and you've got this new label, a new racist tag to hurt people. Yeah, that's racist. Now, in order to hit home, take their race and make up a new label. Now, this is just an example, okay? I'm not saying you should use this one, but check it out. This is how it goes. You take a race and say, how about we talk about black stupidity? How does that make you feel? Yeah, so if the person's black, you're going to get a reaction, so be careful, okay? But how does that make you feel? I mean, they will automatically jump up and be offended, and that's how anybody should be reacting to these racist tags. But now we take it a step further and we say, we keep talking about black stupidity as if it's a real thing, and you just keep talking and talking and everybody else keeps talking. How is that? That's called talking past the sale, and it is very effective. It is very, very effective and very evil. So that is also in the next video, my friends. So if you liked this video, stay tuned for the next one. But I want to leave you with that. Don't ever let anybody label you. You should have a reaction like Joan Rivers. Stop. How dare you? That is racist. This conversation is over. White nationalist is an evil tag invented by the likes of Stalin and Adolf Hitler to destroy you, to hurt somebody. Okay? So, Now we're into another part. It's called Talking Past the Sale. And if you like this, my friends, please give me that upvote and subscribe, because I've got some really awesome stuff for you. We're going to dig deep. I'm going to give you tactics to fight these evil tactics, no matter how many or who uses them. Okay, thank you very much for listening. Hit that like button and subscribe, and I will see you next time.